I don't even know what the feud was about. I know there was a feud and then it was
actually
over.
Just
They were once painted as pop's golden pair, two women at the height of their powers, united by charm, talent, and a sisterhood the world wanted to believe in. For fans, Taylor Swift and Katy Perry seemed inseparable, the kind of friendship that embodied female solidarity in the spotlight. But behind the perfectly staged smiles, subtle cracks began to show. In interviews, a stray comment hinted at tension. Online, a single tweet carried the weight of a veiled warning. In 2014, Katy Perry posted a cryptic message. "Watch out for Regina George in sheep's clothing." Suddenly, the whispers of rivalry grew louder. By 2015, Taylor released Bad Blood, a cinematic diss track with its own star-studded music video. Though no names were spoken, speculation filled the gap. Was this about Katy? And if so, had the friendship the world believed in ever truly existed? This wasn't just another tabloid feud. It was a cultural spectacle that forced fans, media, and the music industry to ask the uncomfortable question: were Taylor Swift and Katy Perry ever real friends? Or was their relationship just another performance, scripted for the global stage? The public story began quietly. Taylor Swift, still transitioning from her country roots into mainstream pop, met Katy Perry, already crowned a global hitmaker after "I Kissed a Girl" stormed the charts in 2008. Their first documented interactions came in the late 2000s, when both singers were fixtures at award shows like the MTV Video Music Awards. In 2009, cameras caught them chatting backstage, laughing like old friends despite only just entering each other's orbit. Data anchor MTV VMAs, September 2009. By 2010, the press had latched on to this budding connection. Taylor, often described as America's sweetheart, and Katy, the rebellious pop provocateur, made for a striking narrative. Headlines in teen magazines painted them as complementary opposites. 17 ran a feature on pop's new besties, citing their supportive tweets and onstage shoutouts. Katy praised Taylor's songwriting in an interview with Elle, calling her wise beyond her years, while Taylor returned the compliment on Twitter, telling millions of followers that Katy's teenage dream was the soundtrack of the summer. Data anchor Elle Magazine profile, July 2010. Their friendship wasn't just organic, it was amplified by the machinery of celebrity PR. Publicists recognized the commercial value of aligning two megastars. Photo ops were carefully orchestrated. Matching outfits at charity galas, shared appearances on red carpets, and even synchronized styling for talk show guest spots. When Taylor and Katy were both booked for the 2011 American Music Awards, they posed together backstage in a series of images that circulated instantly across entertainment blogs. For the audience, it reinforced an illusion of closeness. Two women, different in style, but united by the crown of pop dominance. Hollywood thrives on the idea of sisterhood among its stars, and the Swift-Perry bond seemed to deliver exactly that. It was no coincidence that both artists were at pivotal points in their careers. Taylor had just released Speak Now, 2010, her first entirely self-written album, while Katy was breaking records with Teenage Dream, 2010, which tied Michael Jackson's record of 5 number-1 singles from one album on the Billboard Hot 100. Data anchor Billboard, 2011. By associating publicly, their brands seemed to reinforce one another. For Taylor, the connection gave her pop credibility. For Katy, it softened her rebellious edge with a dose of Taylor's all-American wholesomeness. This narrative played out not just on stage, but in the press. In 2011, Rolling Stone ran a piece highlighting the new sisterhood in pop, using Taylor and Katy as prime examples of women supporting women in an industry often criticized for pitting them against one another. Fans ate it up. On Tumblr, GIFs of the pair laughing together were reblogged thousands of times, while Twitter fan accounts dubbed them the Queens of Friendship. It seemed almost too perfect. They were positioned as foils, sweetness and sass, country roots and West Coast rebellion, but always with a shared smile. Their images appeared side by side on magazine covers, their names dropped in one another's interviews. Even when not performing together, the press wrote them into the same narrative. Taylor and Katy as co-leaders of a new era in pop. And so, an illusion began to harden into something accepted as fact. The world was told, repeatedly and with glossy evidence, that Taylor Swift and Katy Perry were inseparable. Few questioned the choreography behind those moments. Few asked whether the friendship was spontaneous or a carefully curated image designed to sell a story. Illusion hardened into truth. By 2012, the picture-perfect friendship began to look less solid. At first, the signs were subtle, easy to dismiss as scheduling conflicts or media exaggeration. But when placed in sequence, a pattern emerged. The first fault line ran through the world of touring. Both artists were commanding global stages, and both needed top-tier dancers to power their elaborate shows. In 2013, Taylor embarked on her Red Tour, while Katy prepared for her Prismatic World Tour in 2014. Rumors swirled that dancers once contracted with Taylor defected to Katy's camp, lured away mid-contract. The issue was never officially confirmed, but in hindsight, it became the spark for one of pop's most infamous rifts. Data anchor. Red Tour began March 2013. Prismatic World Tour announced November 2013. Taylor spoke indirectly about the situation in a 2014 Rolling Stone interview. Without naming names, she described a female artist who tried to sabotage an entire arena tour by hiring people out from under me. She confessed, "It wasn't even about a guy. It had to do with business. She basically tried to sabotage an entire arena tour." Data anchor, Rolling Stone, September 2014. For fans and media, the message was clear. The unnamed female artist was Katy Perry. Meanwhile, Katy responded in her own way, cryptic but cutting. On September 9, 2014, she tweeted, "Watch out for Regina George in sheep's clothing." The reference to Mean Girls was unmistakable. Regina George, the archetypal manipulative friend hiding behind a polished facade. With that single tweet, speculation exploded. The illusion of their friendship, once reinforced with endless photo ops, was now under public suspicion. Data anchor, Katy Perry tweet, September 9, 2014. Beyond words, body language told its own story. In award shows between 2013 and 2015, seating charts that once placed them side by side began to shift. At the Grammy Awards in 2014, Taylor was seated with fellow country star Casey Musgraves, while Katy sat rows away with her own entourage. When cameras panned across the room, fans noticed the absence of even a casual wave. Entertainment blogs ran side-by-side comparisons. Where are the hugs? Why no red carpet selfies this year? Social media silence further deepened the suspicion. By 2012, both singers were heavy Twitter users, known for playful exchanges. But after mid-2013, there were no mentions, no retweets, no shared photos. Fans scrolled back through timelines and realized the silence was deafening. Instagram told a similar story. No more behind-the-scenes candids, no more compliments on each other's new releases. In a digital culture where friendship is often measured by visibility, invisibility became its own statement. The cracks also revealed themselves in creative philosophy. Taylor, increasingly strategic about her brand, preferred tight control over her image, from songwriting credits to stage design. Katy, by contrast, thrived on spectacle and improvisation, embracing chaos as part of her performance identity. Those differences, once complementary, began to highlight their incompatibility. The press caught on. In 2014, Billboard ran a piece questioning the end of pop's golden friendship, citing unnamed insiders who described competitive tensions. Journalists began revisiting old interviews, reinterpreting once innocent remarks as signs of shade. Even casual comments, Taylor saying she values loyalty above all else, Katy insisting she plays fair in business, were reframed as coded shots at one another. Fans, too, began decoding. Tumblr threads dissected outfits for subliminal messages. Twitter users charted every appearance, marking when Taylor and Katy were in the same city but never seen together. One viral fan post called it a pattern of absence, the consistent avoidance of overlap that suggested more than coincidence. By 2015, the narrative had shifted. What began as whispers of rivalry was now an accepted truth among the fan base. Something had gone very wrong. The illusion of sisterhood was crumbling, not in one dramatic moment, but in a steady accumulation of absences, silences, and barbed words. Cracks were no longer rumors. If the signs of tension were once subtle, by 2015 they could no longer be ignored. The supposed friendship that once symbolized female solidarity in pop collapsed in spectacular fashion, with music itself becoming the weapon. Taylor Swift released Bad Blood in May 2015, a track on her blockbuster album 1989. The song was unmistakably venomous. Did you have to ruin what was shiny? Now it's all rusted. Its accompanying video premiered at the Billboard Music Awards on May 17, 2015, was a cinematic event, featuring cameos from Selena Gomez, Karlie Kloss, Gigi Hadid, and more. It portrayed betrayal as a literal war, with Taylor cast as a heroine betrayed by another woman. Though Taylor never spoke Katy's name, the cultural consensus was swift. This was about Perry. Data anchor, Bad Blood music video premiere, Billboard Music Awards, May 17, 2015. The media wasted no time amplifying the feud. The New York Times declared it the pop feud of the decade. Billboard ran features decoding the lyrics, while Rolling Stone tied it back to Taylor's 2014 interview about sabotage. Overnight, the press reframed the Swift-Perry narrative, from best friends to bitter rivals. The supposed sisterhood was gone. In its place stood a high-profile feud that dominated entertainment news cycles. Data anchor, New York Times, May 2015. Katy, never one to back down, responded through socials, media, and eventually through her own music. That infamous September 2014 tweet about Regina George was resurfaced and dissected endlessly, with fans treating it as confirmation. Then, in 2017, Katy released Swish Swish, a track on her Witness album, widely interpreted as a diss response to Bad Blood. The chorus, "Your game is tired, you should retire," was too pointed to ignore. Media outlets like Variety and Vulture immediately linked it to Taylor, reigniting the feud 2 years after its supposed climax. Data anchor, Katy Perry Swish. Swish release, May 19, 2017. The fan response turned the feud into a cultural war. On Twitter, hashtags Team Taylor and Team Katy trended worldwide. Memes spread like wildfire, painting Taylor as a calculating strategist and Katy as the bold truth-teller, or vice versa, depending on allegiance. Tumblr and Reddit became battlegrounds for decoding every lyric, every outfit, every red carpet interaction. The feud was no longer confined to the two singers. It had become a fandom-driven spectacle where millions of voices amplified every slight. Award shows, once stages for shared smiles, became theater for tension. At the 2015 MTV Video Music Awards, Taylor's Bad Blood video won Video of the Year, cementing her narrative at the peak of the feud. Katy, notably absent from the ceremony, seemed pushed to the margins. For fans and the press alike, the optics told the story. Taylor had won this round. Data anchor, MTV VMAs, August 30, 2015. Even industry insiders weighed in. Backup dancers spoke anonymously to Entertainment Weekly, confirming the tug-of-war over contracts. Commentators framed it as a clash of power. Two women at the height of their fame, unwilling to cede territory in the cutthroat world of pop stardom. But as the feud escalated, it also revealed something deeper. This wasn't merely about dancers or songs, it was about control of narrative. Taylor, ever the architect of personal mythology, weaponized her songwriting to claim betrayal. Katy, leaning into her rebellious persona, countered with shade and spectacle. Both knew the stakes. In pop, perception is everything. By the late 2010s, the feud had become legend. It transcended personal conflict, morphing into a cultural shorthand for female rivalries in the music industry. Publications compared it to Madonna versus Cyndi Lauper, or Mariah Carey versus Jennifer Lopez. But unlike those earlier feuds, the Swift-Perry battle unfolded in real time on social media, with millions of fans acting as both commentators and combatants. And so, what once looked like a polished image of solidarity shattered under the weight of public scrutiny and personal betrayal. What the world saw now was raw, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. The mask shattered in public. The fallout from the Swift-Perry feud was as fascinating as the scandal itself. Once the narrative of Bad Blood had taken root, both artists faced choices about how to navigate their careers under the shadow of one of pop's most public rivalries. Taylor, at the peak of her 1989 success, leaned into the image of a woman wronged but triumphant. Surrounded by her so-called squad of models, actresses, and fellow musicians, she projected an aura of invincibility. Media outlets described her as the ringleader of a cultural moment, with Time magazine naming her one of the most influential people in 2015. The Bad Blood video itself, which won Video of the Year at the 2015 MTV VMAs, served as a symbolic coronation. Data anchor, Time 100, April 2015, MTV VMAs, August 2015. Katy, meanwhile, was forced into the role of antagonist in the public imagination. Despite scoring hits like Dark Horse, 2013, and Roar, 2013, the feud overshadowed her musical output. By the time she released Witness in 2017, critics often framed it as her response album, rather than judging it on its own terms. Tracks like Swish Swish were dissected for coded jabs at Taylor, and the narrative of rivalry became inseparable from her artistry. Data anchor, Witness release, June 9, 2017. The feud also seeped into broader pop culture. Entertainment. Journalists debated who had won, while think pieces questioned why female artists were constantly pitted against each other. The Guardian ran an editorial in 2016 asking whether the Swift-Perry clash said more about celebrity culture than about either woman personally. For a generation of fans, the feud became less about music and more about the spectacle of loyalty, betrayal, and narrative control. Data anchor, The Guardian editorial, October 2016. There were tangible consequences, too. Projects both women undertook were viewed through the feud's lens. When Taylor announced her Reputation Stadium tour in 2018, commentators speculated about whether Katy's absence from any guest appearances signaled an ongoing Cold War. Meanwhile, when Katy signed on as a judge for American Idol in 2018, the press framed her critiques of contestants as evidence of her no-nonsense personality, an image that had been sharpened by years of being cast as Taylor's foil. Fans played a central role in shaping the fallout. Swifties and Katy cats clashed daily on Twitter, dissecting interviews, lyrics, and even wardrobe choices for hidden messages. One viral Tumblr post argued that Katy's Swish Swish music video, with its cartoonish basketball theme, mocked Taylor's hyper-serious squad aesthetic. Conversely, Taylor's decision to pull her music from Spotify in 2014 and later return in 2017 was framed by some as a move to undercut Katy's album release week. Data anchor, Taylor Swift returns to Spotify, June 2017, the same week as Katy's Witness release. Even the entertainment industry began to satirize the feud. In 2016, Saturday Night Live aired a skit parodying pop rivalries, with veiled references to Taylor and Katy. Late-night hosts mined the feud for monologues, turning private grievances into public punchlines. What had started as an issue of tour dancers and coded songs had ballooned into a cultural circus. But as the years went on, fatigue set in. By 2017, some critics argued that the feud narrative had grown stale, overshadowing the music itself. Articles appeared with titles like "Why Taylor vs. Katy Needs to End," Vulture 2017, signaling that audiences were ready to move past the endless decoding of every lyric and tweet. Still, the damage was done. The friendship that once symbolized unity was now remembered primarily as a cautionary tale of rivalry. In the absence of reconciliation, their estrangement became part of the story. Their distance wasn't just personal, it became cultural, a symbol of how carefully packaged friendships in pop can fracture under the weight of competition and scrutiny. The absence became a character. By the late 2010s, the feud between Taylor Swift and Katy Perry had already taken on a life beyond their individual careers. It was no longer just a disagreement between two artists. It had become a cultural narrative, dissected in classrooms, op-eds, and even marketing case studies. The friendship-turned-rivalry story revealed uncomfortable truths about how Hollywood, and particularly the pop industry, packages intimacy for profit. At its core, the Swift-Perry saga exposed the mechanics of celebrity storytelling. Their early best friend image was not simply a coincidence. It was reinforced through staged photo ops, curated interviews, and press headlines designed to sell the idea of solidarity. When the friendship fractured, that too was commodified, this time through diss tracks, viral tweets, and headline-grabbing award show moments. In both cases, the personal was turned into the commercial. Data anchor, Rolling Stone Retrospective. Feature 2019. The public reception of the feud reflected a shift in audience media literacy. Fans who once accepted celebrity friendships at face value began to question the authenticity of such narratives. In a 2018 BuzzFeed News piece, one writer argued, "What Swift vs. Perry proved is that pop feuds aren't accidents. They're part of the ecosystem." The saga trained a generation of fans to read between the lines, to search for seams in the glossy fabric of celebrity branding. Data anchor, BuzzFeed News, August 2018. Ironically, reconciliation became part of the narrative too. In May 2018, Katy sent Taylor an olive branch, literally. Hours before Taylor's Reputation Stadium tour opened, Taylor posted on Instagram a photo of a package from Katy containing an olive branch and a handwritten note. The caption read, "Thank you, Katy." Fans and media immediately declared the feud over. A year later, their truce was immortalized on screen when Katy appeared in Taylor's "You Need to Calm Down" music video, June 2019, dressed as a hamburger and embracing Taylor, who wore a French fries costume. Data anchor. You Need to Calm Down music video release, June 17, 2019. But even that piece carried the scent of performance. Critics noted that the reconciliation coincided neatly with album promotion cycles for both artists. Was it genuine forgiveness, or a savvy PR move to signal growth and maturity? Either way, it was consumed by the public as content, another chapter in the ongoing story of two women whose personal relationship had been made inseparable from their careers. The legacy, then, is double-edged. On one hand, the feud became an enduring pop culture reference, a shorthand for female celebrity rivalries in the digital age. On the other, it exposed the transactional nature of friendship in Hollywood, where alliances and fallouts alike can be packaged, sold, and immortalized for global audiences. For Taylor, the saga reinforced her reputation as a master of narrative control, someone who could weaponize personal history into blockbuster albums. For Katy, it cemented her role as a bold provocateur, unafraid to throw shade or embrace the role of villain when the script demanded it. Together they created a story that outlived the actual conflict. In the end, the Swift-Perry friendship became less about whether it was ever real and more about what it revealed, that in the world of pop, relationships are rarely private. They are stages, scripts, and stories, performed for millions. The feud may have ended with a hug, but the lesson it left behind lingers still. Was this friendship ever truly authentic, or was it always a performance designed for the spotlight? The story of Taylor Swift and Katy Perry is more than a tale of friendship gone wrong. It is a reminder of how fame bends relationships into narratives, crafted, consumed, and endlessly debated. From red carpet smiles to coded lyrics, from icy silences to a costumed hug in a music video, every chapter of their relationship was magnified under the lens of global attention. But the central question remains unresolved. Were they ever truly friends, or was it always just another Hollywood act? Perhaps both things can be true. A bond once real, reshaped by the pressures of fame into something unrecognizable. Now it's your turn. Do you believe the Swift-Perry friendship was ever genuine, or only a performance? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's keep the conversation respectful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and turn on notifications for more untold Hollywood stories.